Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the all-time great skills and flaws of Tszyu and Fedora. We're going to be taking an unbiased look about it and just talk about the skills, what went on, what went wrong, what went good for Fedora, what went wrong for Tszyu, and all that stuff. Let's start off here. Tszyu does a good job of baiting this shot here, but if we take a look at all-time great flaws, look at how he ducks below the waist and his head is in the middle of his legs, right, in between his knees. He doesn't really change positions or choose like the front or the back foot or choose a side of the line. He's kind of going duck, like just straight ducking. And you're never going to beat a guy who has an advantage over you like this if you don't get him to go first or bait some shots. So he's doing a good job baiting the shot, but he's ducking, and he can't, because of this, come back with the shot right here. He's not doing the move correctly, and that stops him from being able to capitalize on getting his opponent out of position, and it happens so easily. Now, he's going to jump on the line, throw a 1-2, but he kind of makes it really obvious here. I just want to point out that with that lead hand control, that same thing, he has to cross the line here. It makes it very obvious. Everyone and their mom has been throwing punches like this at Sebastian Fedora, right? So he's going to cross the line here, and Sebastian Fedora is just going to move his head just a little bit, just enough as he times Tszyu coming in to kind of throw this shot. Now, big all-time great flaw from Tszyu, post-punch defense. He doesn't really usually have very good post-punch defense. And at the same time at which he gets here, they both get here with this rear hand here, boom, they both have the opportunity to follow up or make another move, and only Fedora winds up throwing a shot. He winds up sacrificing the position. And again, this overall stuff here winds up having a massive impact, right? This whole little sequence here, number one, so much bladedness from Tszyu. And we got a decent amount of clips to take a look at, so we're going to go ahead and look at them. But I wanted to point out here he is going to be doing some fancy stuff, getting to the other side of the line here, slipping across the jab, right? And look at the look on Fedora's face as it happens. Again, very threatening for him. But he's got a little bit of a feint here going, right? He's going to be getting Fedora to do something as he gets his way to the front foot again. Boom, right? Getting Fedora to go. Notice he abandoned this strategy at some point in the fight very, very early because he stopped feinting. He stopped doing that, and he started resorting to only lead hand control here and fighting out of basically a completely bladed stance, of making a massive, massive error. Now, again, jab came, he feinted, and he feinted back into this feint, getting Fedora after the jab to follow up. Again, crossing the line here with a little bit of his active guard. Now, interacting with the jab and following it back with this rear hand, this winds up being and playing a major role in the overall fight or the outcome of the fight as we take a look at further clips here. Now, coming forward here, not this clip here, we don't want to take a look at that crap, but as we see here, he's going to be coming forward, right, and he gets cracked here, okay? He's coming forward, and he had been following. We will take a look at this little clip here, kind of talking into it here. But he's going to be coming forward, and Fedora's going to throw this jab, and he's going to try to follow him back here. Okay, any second now. He's going to try to follow him back here. I think any second now. And follow him back and try to get this shot. And that was one of his key strategies here in the fight. But Fedora wound up picking up on it. I did a little YouTube short on it. I'm not going to go over those clips because it's kind of taking a little bit too long. But he tries to do the same thing here where the jab comes from Fedora, boom. But instead of coming with the right hand, he comes with the left hand, which again doesn't allow him to follow the rules of boxing. And he winds up just getting walked right into a right hook here. Now, Fedora was probably expecting him not to really move his head anyway, except to just try to parry the rear hand. So he went with a rear hand hook instead of a straight like he had been going here. And he winds up cracking him. And, Tszyu goes down, all-time great mistakes. He's always stepping and jumping with his shots. He's kind of in the air when this shot lands, and he kind of goes down because he loses his footing. Yes, he's definitely hurt a little bit, for sure. But he definitely goes down, I think, because of the fact that his feet are kind of coming up off the ground. Now, he moves around in circles completely bladed. He's not changing positions. He's not leashing. He's not feinting or probing or doing anything. He starts relying on the lead hand control and getting pushed off his line. And when he leans back like that, he has nowhere to go. So when the shot comes, again, it just wraps right around his guard, just like the one that dropped him did. Again, he's just not expecting Tszyu to move his head at all. He doesn't really have that good a head movement on average. He fights in the bladed stance, keeps his head in one zone here, and then hopes to be able to do this kind of stuff, right? And we can see right here, Fundora's ready to interact already. He just threw the 1-2, but he's going to be able to come back and sweep the line with his hook on the way out and stop Tszyu from feeling super comfortable. Now, look at Tszyu pivot on the front foot as he escapes here. We're going to be talking about that in a second as well. But pull counter, right? Now, again, he's getting feinted here as he's chasing him, right? So this shot barely misses here. It's very, very, very important, but it's a decent attempt from Tszyu, not a bad strategy there. Now, getting pushed off the line here, he's moving straight back. He's not pulling down correctly, but you can see that Fundora, again, is ready, right? He's not really out of position. He's ready to control space, and then another jab right here. So just count these attacks right here. Control 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, he's so quick with his hands, just being able to touch the line so quickly and go from one punch to another. Yeah, some really, really good stuff in there. Now, jab, jab, and again, take a look at where Tszyu's head is, right? Boom, boom, and again, he's moving straight back, and he recognizes right now that, oh, jab, jab, he has to move his head when the rear hand comes, and he tries to make it across the line, but Fundora was just a little bit too fast for him on that beat right there. And again, you can't just sit there when your opponent's throwing jabs at you, but again, he's in the right position, but he winds up just being a little bit slower than Fundora, right? Which again, if you don't have an active guard, you're not always moving or expecting that to be the next position. It might be easy to walk you into something. Even if you're going to do the right thing, he winds up just being a little bit faster. Notice this time Tszyu's a little bit ready, and he has his guard up when he does it and doesn't get hit, which is like literally the next sequence of the fight. Now, eating some jabs to the body, and again, he tries to follow him back, and again, his poor post-punch defense, he doesn't really move his head very much. Boom, 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 eating these shots here. And again, without an active guard, right, by trying to fight all lead hand control, not crossing the line, when he enters here with this body jab, he just eats that shot, right? And now Tszyu's going to throw this rear hand, and again, his head's moving like a little bit, a tiny bit, just a little. But he has no post-punch defense. He doesn't know what to do once he's on the left side of the line. Again, he always fights on the right side of the line through the blade with the control of the lead hand, not control with his rear hand. Like this would be a rear hand control position here, and now he's just falling off balance and eats a combination. Again, a major, major, major factor in the overall arching theory of the fight. Now, again, coming out of this here, boom, whack, right? Fundora seeing him pivot on the front foot as he tries to escape, and he's like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Pendulum's onto his line here, control him, right? Tszyu's like, okay, got to get out of here. He's going to try to make that same angle, get away from the little waving hand here, and again, he's pivoting on the front foot. He's stuck on the front foot this whole time, whack, and gets hit by a hook right around the guard here. Now, it's not super effective here, but Fundora's learning. Now he gets him in the corner here, and so far Tszyu has been successful, right? Ooh. He's been successful pivoting on the front foot. So here that hook comes, he tries to roll to the front foot, and as he tries to make it to the front foot and escape, he gets walked into an uppercut and then into a hook right here that stuns him. And that gets him stuck here. He falls off balance after he gets stunned and wobbles right in front of him, which opens him up for a barrage of punches. Again, he just doesn't know how to circle and step around correctly. This is one of those very, very, very common moves. If you're a fan of somebody like Shakur Stevenson, okay, I want you guys to look at this fight very, very carefully and think, wow, how would Shakur Stevenson do against Sebastian Fundora? Because Shakur Stevenson is the same height as Tszyu. Why couldn't they fight? Why couldn't Shakur Stevenson move up to 54? Huh? Right? But again, that strategy where you just sit on the ropes and you do that stuff, that goofy stuff, it doesn't really work in a real fight. Now, in this clip, I just wanted to point out that some punches come at him. He moves his head with each punch. Boom, moved his head. Now a punch is going to come at him. He moves his head. Boom. Now his head is over here, and it's going to move his head and throw a punch here. Boom. Super effective strategy if you can continue moving your head and punching, right? Especially against a guy like Fundora, who can't move his head. He doesn't know how. Now, as soon as he stops moving his head and throwing those punches again because he falls off balance, he doesn't practice it, he doesn't do that stuff. He's doing that a little bit on accident. It was a little bit of like Hail Mary. He gets stuck on one side of the line and then he starts getting pounded on, but he falls off balance and all that kind of stuff. Again, a lot of all-time great flaws there. Now, He's trying to steal that shot again against the left or the lead hand control against in the open stance. Again, his opponent is waiting for him to try to cross the line here. He tries to cross with the body shot, and Fundora times him perfectly. Again, Tszyu's not really necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just that strategy doesn't work that well against Fundora, who can, number one, see it coming a mile away, because Tszyu always has to kind of step into it, take this little step around here as he's controlling to get the momentum, and he gets tagged. Again, he just doesn't know how to fight on the other side of the line, so all of his openers are the same. Good shot there. Boom, pull, tries to throw a hook right here. Woo. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, right? Because this is like the cost of business for throwing a punch at Sebastian Fundora. You just have to have this level of energy and this level of athleticism to get away from him being able to just stand still and throw punches at you because he's bigger than you. Again, this is the whole theory about Shakur Stevenson being 1 inch outside of range of somebody and just being able to go, bah, 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 bah. And it's like, it's really effective when you're the bigger guy, right? But this strategy is not going to work, number one, for Fundora. He has just such exceptionally bad head movement because he's so tall that he gets hit here by Tszyu, who's like only 5'7", 10 inches shorter than him. But Tszyu, again, still having his moments here, being able to blast onto the line against the guy who doesn't really move his head. Again, the guy tries to intercept him with a rear hand. He gets Tszyu. He kind of misses, just a little bit. Mostly because Tszyu has to jump to hit him. You see how he's above the punch right there? It kind of looks like his feet kind of still come together, like it might still get him a little bit, right? Like stiffens up a little bit. But no head movement from him. It's not like he's the most difficult to whack hard, And again, that's the same problem that Shakur Stevenson is going to have once he starts fighting real guys, And again, he's not just the biggest guy in the division, Which, again, if you look at someone like Tank Davis beating up people like Mario Barrios, right? He's beating up guys who are legitimately bigger than him, Shakur Stevenson is not, But tagging him here, coming in, again, the same thing. Trying to cross the line, walks him into that shot. He knows exactly where his head is going. But Tszyu, he was a warrior, really putting in some good effort. Now, again, coming across the lead hand control, he's going to take that step. Again, watch his foot, trying to get to the outside here. And as he rolls forward, boom. Fundora is able to find out where his head is. He knows where it's going to go. He remembers where it was going to go last time. He's able to kind of touch him up a little bit. And again, almost right there, but just a tiny bit out of reach there. Whoops. And not making him pay for it. But again, same little move as last time. He's just controlling him, right? Long jab here. And he's just going to control a little bit of space. He's not even really trying to hit him. And Tszyu tries to follow him back. And he's like, pull just a tiny bit and whacks him with that rear hand. Really good shot. Boom. Bop, bop. And almost drops him. Again, Tszyu breaking a lot of the rules right there for crossing the line, transitioning your weight, and change positions, right? And again, pivoting on the front foot. Whack, whack. Again, eating some more punches. Again, it puts him farther and far behind against his opponent. Whack. Poor post-punch defense. Boom, boom, boom. Again, these small flaws wind up putting so much more pressure on Tszyu. Again, poor post-punch defense costing him a punch right there when otherwise he opened up really well against his opponent. Now, again, poor post-punch defense. He just threw a right hand, eats a liver shot here, trying to get off the line from his opponent. Boom. Again, same very, very basic pattern. Doesn't have really post-punch defense. And again, doesn't have an active guard. So again, he's fighting from the same side of the line so often. Here he's having a great follow-up finally from all of his rear hand openers, right? So finally having a 2-3 right there. All-time great skill, right? But he really didn't use it very often. Pulling the jab here, coming up with the rear hand. Beautiful. Poor post-punch defense. Has to pay for it. And you can see his face get touched by that hook right there. Again, all-time great skills from Tszyu there for a second, slipping the jab and pulling. Slipping the jab here, pull here, boom, leaping shot. Again, but just not able to put anything together off of these moves, right? We saw him pull and throw either hand in the last few sequences. But it's just really difficult right? To come out ahead against some guy who's just so much taller than you. Okay. And then here, again, the last sequence, boom, boom, poor post-punch defense, boom, 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 boom. And then again, if he's not getting off the line, if there's no holding, if there's no ducking below the waist, when you make a move like that in front of your opponent, you're going to pay the cost of business, right? Just like you're supposed to, okay? Again, there's a lot of flaws in Tszyu. He's got some decent hands, but at the highest level, you got to have more than just hands if you want to be successful. You have to have all of the skills if you want to beat all of your opponents. Anyway, if you guys are interested in coaching, you want to learn all the patterns that you need to practice, and you want to learn all the best ways to get strong and do all this stuff, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. It's got some great reviews. And again, it's people who want to be, some national champions, some guys who are, who work really hard and will appreciate what I do. So, check it out. There's also pro MMA fighters, pro boxers, amateur boxers, pro MMA fighters, all kinds of, anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and whatever. Yeah.